Hey there, welcome to my channel, friends. And this is story time. Oh, this story time is really sad, but I get it. The ending is kind of sad, but I get it. And it's deceitful and sneaky like all the story times, but I kind of get it. All right, let's get into it. We have three main characters. We have Cher, we have Sunny, and we have Matilda. Sunny and Cher are 15 years apart. Sunny is younger than Cher. Now, they met when they were in New York. Sunny's father was a very, very wealthy man, and he left his legacy to Sunny. Sunny came from a very wealthy family, and so he didn't have to work, and he enjoyed his life, and he decided that he was just going to do that. So every day he would go to a certain cafe that was close to his place, and Cher owned it. Now, Cher, she was running the cafe, and it was a successful cafe, and she was very comfortable doing it, but it really didn't give her any time to do anything else. She was there 24/7, and she didn't have anybody to work for her because she couldn't afford to hire any employees. So every day, Sunny would go in and see her. Eventually, he fell in love with her. She's 15 years older than him, but he has a mature mind, and he was raised by his dad. His dad was much older than him, so he was used to being around people that were a little older. And he asked her, hey, why don't you move to the Dominican Republic with me? Sell your business, keep your money, take care of yourself, have a little nest egg, but come to the Dominican Republic with me and we will live very nicely. And she was game for it. She came here with them and they were together. They didn't get married, but they lived common law for quite a few years. And then finally he said to her, he said, listen, I need a baby. I know you're 41 years old. You may not want to have any children, and I'm popping this on you, but I love you, and I didn't know we were going to be together for this long. I know you're not interested in marriage. I know you've told me many times you don't want children, but I need someone to leave my legacy to, my dad's legacy. I can't just leave my money to donations like for charity and stuff. He's like, I need to carry my dad's legacy on. So if you can't give me a child, I understand that, but if you can give me one and we can reproduce and conceive, then this is what I would like. And she was like, well, I don't know if I could have children, and I don't want children. And he said, well, we need to try if you want to remain with me. I love you to pieces, but this is something that I need to do with my life. I'm 15 years younger than you. I can wait another 15 years for a child, but you can't wait another 15 years to reproduce one for me. And so she said to him, well, I don't know what to do. And she's like, let's try. So they tried. And she ended up getting pregnant. She did. And when she got pregnant, they were very happy at first. But then she started to get really sick. And she didn't realize that morning sickness is very normal in the first 3 months. Even though she was doing a lot of research, she was just really sick. She was one of those women that just can't even get out of bed. So she decided to take it upon herself and go have the pregnancy terminated. And she told Sunny that it was a miscarriage. Sunny believed her until one day he was in the kitchen and, he was just kind of like cooking and he was doing his own thing. But the kitchen's so big, she didn't even hear him in the kitchen, and she was off in the pantry on another little corner of the house, and she did not know that he was even in the kitchen cooking. She didn't even hear him. He could hear her talking and laughing, and so he got curious as to what she was laughing at, and he walked over to the other side of the pantry there, and her sister was on the phone on intercom, speakerphone rather. And she's like, oh gosh, yes, Cher said, yes, he's doing it again. And the sister said, Cher, really? After he thinks you had a miscarriage, he's still asking you for a baby? Why don't you just pop the plan B? And Cher was like, listen, I can't do that. I just can't. It's going to mess up my cycle. And the sister's like, okay, well, you know what? Go get your tubes tied. And Cher was like, well, how could I do that? Wouldn't he know? Like, wouldn't he notice that? And she said, well, you had an abortion and he didn't know you, and you convinced him that it was a miscarriage. Clearly, he believes whatever you say. And when he heard that, his heart broke. He realized that she got rid of their child and it was not a miscarriage. So he decided at that point that he wasn't going to force her any longer. And he loved his wife very well, not his wife legally, but still his wife, common law. And he loved Cher very much. And the last thing he wanted to do was have her feel unhappy or be unhappy. And he was very angry that she terminated the pregnancy without taking it up with him first. But a part of him actually understood. So he just let it fly. But he did come up with a bright idea, because it was on his mind to have his legacy. So he went to Matilda. Now, Matilda at this point was working for them for 5 years, and she was like family to him. She lived on the grounds. He owned a lot of property, and she lived on the grounds in a maid quarters house. Her mother also lived there with her. Now, she has a big family, but she takes care of the mom because she can feed the mother food every day from the family, right? From Cher and from Sonny, because Cher and Sonny cook all the time. Like, they love cooking. So, he went up to Matilda and he said, I am so sorry that I have to ask you this, and it may not be proper for me to ask you this, as somebody who is your employer, but I feel like I have nowhere to go. I have nowhere to turn. My wife doesn't want to have any children, and I want a child. I have a legacy that I have to continue, and I don't know how to ask you this, but would you be open to having a child with me? He said, all you have to do is just, we try once we finish, and if you conceive with me, that's it. We don't have to do anything else after that. I would prefer not to. I love my wife. I feel guilty enough asking you this, but I do need a child. And Matilda was like, and he's like, listen, even if we don't conceive and we try and we don't conceive, I'm still going to buy you land for you and your family, and I'm still going to have a house built on there for your mom and your sisters and everyone. I know you have a large family. And Matilda was like, oh my gosh, like, that's really hard to pass up. And he said to her, and if we do conceive and we do have a baby, you'll be taken care of for the rest of your life, because what is my child's is also yours. Matilda was like, wow, okay. She knew she could trust this man. She knew him for 5 years. And she was like, okay, sure. And so they had a couple of awkward nights together and everything, obviously. And, they conceived. And once they conceived, he raised the child. And the child was 15 years old when he tragically died. When Sonny tragically died, not the son. He took that boy everywhere with him. And even his wife said, why is this young man always with you? Like, it's just not normal. It doesn't look healthy. And he's like, this is like my son. He's like my stepson. Matilda can't take care of him. Matilda's always working. And even Cher said, well, why is Matilda still working for us if she's a mother and she can't take care of her child and everything? And he said, never mind. You don't want to have children, right? So let me be a dad to this boy. And Cher was like, okay, no problem. So he would take his son out fishing and doing little handy things around for shopping. And now the son knew that was his dad. The son knew the secret, and the son just automatically was raised having to keep that secret. And that was it. And Sonny always said to his son, listen, right up until his son was 15, and he said, listen, one day, my wife will die. And, it'll just be you and me, buddy, and your mother. And he's like, I just want you to know that we have to keep the secret for now, because I had to do this in order to have you. I wanted you so much. And the son was like, okay, Dad. And he was raised with the father. And he used to look at Cher and say, hello, Miss Cher, and stuff like that. And that was it. And Cher never had an inkling. Now, when Sonny died, Sonny was not expecting to die, but he made sure that he had everything lined out just in case anything ever happened to him. Okay, because his dad died of a heart condition, and he also had the same heart condition, but he seemed well just before he died. But this is what happened. He redid his will, and he put everything in his son's name. But he was a little afraid because he didn't want Cher trying to take it. So he also married his son's mother, Matilda, not for romance, strictly for business. So Matilda could take care of her son, which is really the legacy. So that was it. And he got the blood test done. He did everything beforehand, and he had everything with his lawyer. Okay, and his lawyer knew, everyone knew. Now, one day he did die, a sudden heart attack, and it was just overnight. One day he was jogging, the next day he didn't wake up. So Cher, she had to contact the lawyer and everything. And so, I mean, they were together for so many years. Cher knew the lawyer. Cher knew everything. And the lawyer said, he called her in, and he also called in the boy and the boy's mother. Cher said, why do these two have to be here? And he said, everybody that's in the will needs to be present. And she said, oh, okay. And he said, okay, Cher, here is a letter to you before we begin. And the letter said, pretty cliche too, my dearest love, Cher, I love you. This was in case I passed before you. I want you to know that, let's give the little boy a name. Let's call him Ardian. Ardian is my son, my biological blood. I am leaving everything to him. I married Matilda in order for her to make sure that my legacy received everything, to make sure that he could provide for my father's grandchildren's grandchildren's grandchildren. I know you'll be very angry about this, but there's nothing that can be done now. I'm not leaving you broke. You're going to be a very wealthy woman. I'm leaving you property and buildings in New York. Sell 2 of them, and you will make money to live on for the rest of your life, and the other ones you continue to rent or you sell. Totally up to you. My son will be well taken care of. All my estate and the rest of everything will go to my son. All my jewelry, all my art, all my investments. And she was livid as she was reading it. She was like, what? Is this a joke? Is this a joke? And the lawyer said to her, please read on. And then she read on, and it said, I know you're going to be very angry, and you're going to think this is not real. So please get yourself your own lawyer. Also, blood tests are available. No problem at all. I understand you'll be angry, but this is one thing I want you to keep in mind. I want you to keep in mind that you terminated our child, and I still stayed with you, loved you, and accepted you. You did not have a miscarriage. You made the decision to let go of my biological child that I created with you, the woman that I love. So please, know that this is not something that I wanted to do, but it's something you made me do. Please enjoy the rest of your life. I love you. And that was it. And it's kind of spooky how he left that letter for her. Like, she's like 15 years older than him, and he died before her, but something told him, like intuition, told him. In any case, she did sell 2 properties. She's a multimillionaire. She has nothing to worry about. And, she actually continues to talk to the young man. She has a relationship with him. And she's invited him to New York because Cher is not interested in living in the Dominican Republic any longer. It was not really her dream in the beginning. It was her boyfriend's dream, right? It was Sonny's dream. But she's living very well in New York, and she loves Sonny's son. So isn't that an interesting story? And she had no choice but to accept the reality of the fact that she did what she did. I wouldn't really call it karma. I would call it wisdom on his behalf. He knew that he needed to carry his legacy on for his dad, and, so said, so done. And so here we have it. What would you guys do if you were asked, like Matilda? Like, seriously, friends, what would you do if you were left, like, well, he didn't really leave Cher in the lurch. Like, he didn't leave her badly at all. He really did look out for her. But what would you do? Like, I don't know. And what would you do if you were Sonny and you heard what Cher did to the baby? I don't know. He's a good man because he still loved her, understood, and left her something in his will, and logically said to her in the letter, hey, you have absolutely nothing to be angry about. It's not about tit for tat, but it's about decisions. And you made one that changed your life, but I'm not going to allow you to affect my life like that. Pretty much, right? Well, friends, thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for subscribing. I love, love, love when you guys like the video and subscribe because it lets me know what content you like when I upload. Alrighty, guys, take care. Huge hugs, loads of love, big blesses.